And it's going to be bank straight off the rip. So we just had our bank and now we're back into it. So out of the frying pan into the fire, as the old saying goes. And, well, will the old team of Penta be able to keep these Finns at bay? Straight away, Habana ban off the board. And Habana, if I'm not mistaken, even if you look at Latin America, Habana must be like our most bad operator so far in this competition.
It's understandable. It really limits how a team can attack. It really limits the control that they can get as well. And some teams, you know, it's kind of expected to lose her, but just having a weapon set still on the board can make nightmares out of any single push. And obviously you look at Bank, and we've already kind of mentioned this today, is the limitation on those hatches, on those kind of drop downs, where you're forced to be a little bit more kind of conservative. Bring a Maverick, or Demo might tear his hair out.
Yep.
But it's, you know, it limits how easy it is, really. It raises the skill gap of getting that control.
Finnish team. There's another Finnish team that has a saying about something easy something ends? Something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Easy friends.
I think that's the saying.
I want Ents to come back. I really do.
If you wish hard enough around Christmas.
It is Christmas soon enough.
Some say all of the stars align and they reappear.
Or I could cook up a spell. It's Halloween.
One of my favorite casts teams that unfortunately don't really see too much as a Finnish team, which was Map1 Gaming, which then went on to become, this is a long story, I think they are now what is Kikonakopteri, and they went through like several different teams, but that was like one of the first teams I ever casted. Anyway, enough of trips down memory.
Fun facts with Fluke.
Yeah, enough trips down memory lane though.
We'll be back right after this, you know,
Banco.
This game, and we'll have another one from you.
Yeah, I've just noticed, obviously, it says the team name, some of the players on their team are different to the ones I've written down. One of them is called J Kawaii. And I don't know what to call out for that, whether I should use their actual name.
JK.
JK. That I've got written down. But either way, it's very cute.
I'm going to stick with JK. I like that. That's a nice little...
Okay.
Just kidding.
JK. Clash is picked as 6th pick. That's going to definitely change the pace that they go to in the push here. Now, you assume, as we said at the very beginning, that Penta are going to take this. They are a pro league team. Yes, they're up against a team that has some history in the game and has some history together, but as we saw with the G2 game earlier, sometimes there is just that skill gap that is quite hard to get past.
But then can we really compare Enviik to Existence though?
That's it, but can we really compare current Penta to current G2? Is it a bit of a slip and slide on both sides?
It still feels as if G2 didn't really live up to the potential. I thought Kantarake was very sloppy today, and he was like a big problem why we didn't see that big dominating G2 scoreline who we know loves to put up, you know, these massive results, and then that's where Fabian can call everybody bad and he can call himself the best player in the world, and rightly so, because he is the best player in the world.
Yep.
Behind Citizen. Sorry, I just had to get that in there.
Yeah. Are you sponsored by Citizen?
No, just a fan of the guy.
Okay. Blaz is holding the top of blue pretty aggressively with the Clash. We've seen this done before, and normally it's with a little bit of cover around the corner. So as soon as the pressure starts to arrive and she can pull slightly further back, there is the guns of, well, many different people ready to meet the firefight. Trying to zone it out, JK, looking for any kind of corner on that Clash, but otherwise Kuda is wasting no time and is looking for a kill here, instantly suffering the side of the Clash. They are burning the ADSs, quickly realizing before they threw the frag grenade that there would be one, and there is the second ADS burning even more utility. Both of them burn. The third one has been set up now, and those are burnt as well. So much has been thrown at this, and now surely this frag grenade can land and at least get something. Doesn't cook it long enough, goes close and looks for the firefight, and no, throws their life away, and there is a double for Janix. Almost gets the triple. Clash dives in the way to save them, finishes off the final player there, but Capitao is forced back by a very aggressive Clash, who has now got some cover and been picked up and defended. Gonna rotate slightly further down the stairs to escape the flames as they crack open, and J Kawaii finds Hungry.
Wow, Blast still alive, and he's walked right back up the stairs, this duo ship along with Revan, and gets caught out, and honestly, Penta, they're playing pretty dumb. Like, who would peek that? Nobody would really go for that one. But he went for, well, he paid with his life. So, enemy. 1 versus 3. It's not all lost. Still a Maestro, of course. And has the access to the cameras and has the Aldo we know can rain down as much damage as what he can put out, and actually he's going to go for a long rotate perhaps? No, just checking to make sure nobody's behind him. Still has, of course, those Maestro cameras lurking around, one inside and off that server, but it should be an easy pickup though for Maverick to be able to go over and blowtorch it off. And oh, this is going to be the down going on in towards the Maverick, and now enemy in the midst of the fog. He's walked right past the pickup, comes in, but he's missed the shots. Oh, he thinks he turns, he doesn't know what he's doing, and Enviik, they pull that off.
Well, Enviik take the first round, and I'm going to say aggressive, peculiar style there. They seem to find their way into point. They locked down the clash very quickly. The amount that Penta threw was, well, it didn't quite come to fruition there as we got into the push-come-to-shove situation. Maybe going to be a little bit less aggressive when they hold it this time round. Otherwise, I guess, hey, time will tell if the second swing at this locker's point will be slightly more akin to what we expect from them.
Locker's now up next for Penta once more, and still bringing that clash. I don't know, it's really weird the kind of way that they played it, and oh, well, as quick as I say it, goes away. And now Kaidi gets added into the mix, and perhaps it's because they've looked at the Enviik roster and seen, hey, they don't bring a Thatcher.
No, they don't. And I guess they're going to try and take advantage of that, keep control of those hatches, and see if they can force the Maverick to do a little bit more busy work. Otherwise, they're going for what was standardly what you would see as a hold here. Bringing the Pulse to bury himself inside Gold Vault. They've got the long angles from the Maestro we've seen a fair few times today. Hungry on the smoke as well. Going to try and keep control of the close plant side, and then the ADS. They're probably not going to be in blue as aggressively. I mean, they still might, but there's not really anything that would be the standard hold there. No Ela to stun people on the swing in. You can throw a smoke up there if Hungry wants to, but doesn't look like they're in any rush to get him over there if that's the plan. Otherwise, getting all the hatches done, falling back towards the point. Gonna trust themselves inside rather than the other way around. And Revan is actually going to be quite aggressive inside the garage. See if anyone pushes towards them. Blaz is going to try and trick this hatch, wait for any approach as Janix is going to rotate round, and there's Revan to double up and try and find the information they so desperately want from this dirt side.
Information, of course, being gathered by Penta via the Pulse. Enemy also holding on garage, and how many times have we seen this Maestro in that garage before? And really, we've only ever seen the Latin America teams do a great job at eliminating the Maestro. Sure, we've seen a little bit in our last series, but for the most part, Maestro had the upper edge in those gunfights. Now, Enviik, of course, they're going to have issues whenever that, of course, Kai's there, and they don't have Thatcher grenades to get rid of it. And well, it's always going to be a bit of a rough one whenever you have to go against the Kaid, and perhaps if kind of Mavericks has used most of his kind of utility in towards the normal hatches in sight, and kind of leaves server a lot more to be desired. That's a nice peek from Janix, and does take down Ara.
Oh, pulled back a little bit as Blast rotates to see if they can catch the Maverick out. Kuda cannot quite get that round the corner and stun the man inside. Well, it wasn't even Sledge. Looks for the aggression and just shoots Blaz in the face, though, as Janix actually finds someone as he retreats. No, it was Revan even. Janix is long gone due to probably the flicker of health, is why I assumed that was him. Revan has pulled back into Gold Vault, as we said he probably would be earlier on in the round, and you can see Enviik slowing down a little bit compared to where they were at last time. There's a lot of aggression, a lot of pace, but they have lost the Capital. That was a big part of their push towards the end, and they've also lost the Sledge as well, and the frag grenades that he brings to the party. Trying to find something from above, JKYE, but unfortunately no joy yet as the flash grenades start going in and around the corner. They're going to open up the crossfire side first before they try and push aggressively, and there are bullets raining just over the face of Heraldi, but nothing quite lands yet.
Still JK looking for something that he can, and more information being gathered by Rev. That's great. That'll relay information over towards Hungary, who can try and toss out those smokes, and right in the heart of the bomb site is where Diffuser's going to try and get planted, and that Toxic Babe will keep Heraldi at bay, and enemy tries to push in, but there's a C4 being tossed out by said Pulse, and hasn't managed to land onto the Thermite. He's still alive, but really a 1 versus 3. 1v2 now, but there's the Maestro swings on in, and Penta, they hold it firm, they hold it solid, and gives them their first round.
Well, that was a Penta we expected to see more. Enemy dug in on that final corridor to keep the firefight in their swing. Now we're going to opt for point 2, probably CEO, traditionally CEO. Teller's office instead, actually. No, it's going to opt for holding the... Well, to be fair, it's always down to teams. I say probably CEO is the second point. We've seen it consistently picked as a second point on every game of Bank we've seen in this series so far, but Tellers is your go-to third usually as well, because open area, it's a doozy, for lack of a better word. So why not take this one next and see if you can make something out of it, because you probably have to rotate either way. See if Enviik can find some more bodies in the initial push. They quickly got slowed. Was generally the big issue. As soon as bodies started to fall on their push, they started to shut down a little bit, unfortunately, before finding some fire and trying to ignite the walls again. Enemy bringing the alibi, trying to bait some shots from multiple different angles there, putting it over the hatch to rotate 2, probably going to play behind the bar-esque area in this lobby. But otherwise, a pretty, again, standard lineup for Penta.
So an extended hold towards that upstairs. And typically for Tellers, you need to do something creative. Sometimes you see open area holds, which can provide some rotation potential with hatches, and even the staircases are located beside that. But an upstairs one's a little bit more tricky to kind of portray, simply because windows galore, of course, towards that north side, and if you're trying to hold directly towards CEO, you're probably going to get picked off from windows, because it doesn't really allow then, you know, you're never going to have somebody try and pick the guy off in the windows in lobby, because there's always going to be another attacker holding you from lobby. So instead they're going to try and have a bit of an extension down in towards janitors as well. No Thatcher on their board. So it does give some sightlines towards Enviik, but for the most part, it's down to Enviik, and especially as a newer team, to see how they can adapt with potentially a strategy which have never really come up against a map like Bank.
Well, enemies wasting no time, takes care of Heroldi, holding upstairs in stock trading, and this is the shenanigans this alibi wanted to get into. Revan follows up, killing Cuteness, and now it's just a matter of dropping in, and no, doesn't quite catch the frag there. The alibi did not trick, and Daisari in the meantime finds Revan as well, quickly brings it back and finds the 2 bodies with revenge. However, taking a huge chunk of damage in the meantime. Kuda is looking for a way out of open area without being completely destroyed from either side, and at least they've managed to get a bit of control of the top floor. They've lost, however, their Maverick, and they've lost their Zephyr too. Self-destruction is going to make this a little bit tougher, or lack thereof, as Thermite is going to at least have to try and double up here. They've still got the sledge, and they can still get some vertical control if he can find his way out of open and rotate round without being shot down. But at the same time, there's also still the Capitao on the board, which has been a big thorn in a lot of teams' sides, and was actually probably, for me, one of the reasons that they managed to take the very first round. Still having that utility in control above the diffuser and above the kind of plant point just gave them a little bit more semblance of balance in the final execute.
They're in the site, but Penta, they respond with kills in their own, and Hungry, he was in Skylight, dropped down, picked out 1, but then quickly being refragged there by Thermite. The refrag game it's been great by both sides, really, keeping it even as much as they can, and now Yannick's holding those angles. They don't know where he is, that's the great thing about this. Waiting for anybody, trying to peek their head, but it's going to be Blast who fires in first and does down that Thermite. Well, a double for Blast and Penta, that was easy pickings for them.
Yeah, great cover there from Penta. They obviously got those opening 2 frags and then lost them, but then they managed to find themselves around in a position where they didn't have to worry. They covered the angles, as we saw the rotation from the smoke, bringing themselves back around into the back of point, and then just kept being able to attack the attack of Enviik and pull it apart from many different ranges. Actually heading to open area, sort of the calls I said about CEO. Throw them out the window. We're going to take open area staff room instead and leave that point, and hey, I'm curious to see what they bring.
Well, open area is actually kind of a staple for Penta. They were one of the very few teams who would actually go here inside of Pro League, and they're going to go for it now here. Bring in the Clash. This is, I've talked to you about this specific bomb site. We've had great discussions about it, and I don't see this bomb site really working unless you do bring the Clash, because you need some kind of information. you know, whenever there's no mirror on board, which again severely is going to lack you in what you can gather, and whenever typically Echo is also off the table, Valkyrie cameras aren't really the greatest for this bomb site. There's not a whole lot of information you can find because there's a lot of like clutter around the kind of area, and then even, you know, Maestro, yes, can still be used, but kind of sim situation that we see, of course, with the kind of Valkyrie cameras. And I think Clash just provides not information, but kind of like roaming information as well.
Yeah. It's fair. She becomes the walking window, really. Yep. She can kind of approach either side. And on this point, where there's a couple of different big entranceways and a couple of different big lock-offs that you need to be able to move around to, especially if they get into kind of square skylight and are able to get the quadruple wall open and slightly damaged, it's nice to kind of have that extra bit of movable reinforcement that can just kind of keep them at bay and keep the pressure off and not so intense. Going for a little bit of a roam here as they set themselves up to move quickly towards those main stairs. Blast is, well, they need to have a little bit more cover on the top floor, I think. Personally, I think that it's a big bit of ground to give over to a team that, you know, has pretty consistently been bringing at least double soft destruction.
Yeah, but no denial of the Kaid charges. No Maverick, no Thatcher either from Enviik, and whenever Kaid is being brought by Penta, it could have a lot of issues leading in towards especially that latter half. But, you know, the Kaid charges, they can be taken care of. You know, it's not as if they're in impossible positions that you can't do anything against. You know, they're still shootable at the end of the day. But it will just delay them just ever so slightly. So Enviik will begin an upstairs take and try and clear out roamers. They get the drones in and do whatever they can. And at the moment, there's not really any roamers that are going to be able to take the fight to Enviik. And even you can see Capitao, he comes in from lobby, kind of by himself, gets droned in and just plays that lone fragger role, which I think I kind of like the lone wolf style, because you can catch people by surprise.
Yeah, and if you're kind of up to the metal, if you got the stones to be able to pull off that kind of play, it can be absolutely monumental for a team, and sometimes you can almost rely on that role a bit too heavily, but if the player is up to the caliber of being able to do it, well then, unfortunately not Capitao yet, as Yannick finds the frag against Aura deep from within office hallway. Now it's a matter of just kind of keeping control. Haroldi finds Blaz in the meantime. They're moving quick and fast through the archive side, trying to find Teller's office and get control there, but with JK above the head, and this is a Jaeger in a bit of a tight spot here. Yannick finds one, but, well, there is the expected refrag. As we said, there were 3 bodies closing towards them. JK suffering a fair bit of damage now as they try and clear their way back towards this office hallway and get a bit more control on the side. And Dyseri, in the meantime, is getting, well, attempting to get this vertical control. But, as you said, without the Maverick, without the Thatcher, without the ability to crack open those hatches, gonna have to take it much brutally, much closer. Kaid is suddenly about to be rudely awakened by an exploding wall in his face, and here you can see Hungry doubling over to offer the cover, and Clash is the one that's just going to lock down the other side, keep themselves a little bit more secure in a hold that is slowly falling apart.
Still like Clash, keeping everything at bay. The Gatekeeper off the open area, just holding it down. Now Enviik, pressure on them, 20 seconds to go, and whenever Smoke's still on the board with one more Toxic Babe, they need to move fast. Oh, deposit that in towards the janitors. That's a great entry frag as Revan. He goes down. Enemy now switches off in towards their sidearm. Hungry. He can't jump through. They didn't make a correct hole. He can't get through. A 1v2. All for him. He stops the diffuser. Has to find one more. Just has to hide. There's no diffuser left for Haroldi. Oh, but Hungry. He saves it. Penta. 3 rounds in a row. Open area. Sings true for them. But boy, oh boy, was that close.
Yeah, that was down to the wire, and there was good reliance on the man in the corner with the big gun to be able to pull that out 3-1, and it starts slipping further and further out of the hands of Enviik. Can they find another round to potentially just stem the flow before they swap over to the other side? This is a tough one to do it on, but they did win their first ever push onto this Lockers site. It was a slightly different Penta lineup for sure. They were bringing Clash, they were bringing more aggressive holds against Blue. They've got the Mozzie this time for that roaming information currently, though now it gets locked in. And they still have the Pulse as well. So they have a good slew of this information game. But there's an important potential 6th pick from the side of the attackers. Sledge is being swapped out for Thatcher.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Finally, the first Thatcher for Enviik in this game, and whenever Kaid was chosen a lot by Penta, but this time there's no Kaid to be seen. Instead, Mozzie comes into the fray of things, and Mozzie, jack of all trades, doesn't really master any one, but is an extremely strong operator. We talk about him as being the go-to for many maps and many bomb sites. He just fits so many roles in one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it, is if, you know, he was a bit slow as a pickup for a lot of teams. They didn't quite realize how effective he could be, because you can kind of put him in most situations and almost anywhere, and he'll find a way to make use of it. He has a great set of guns, a great bit of utility, and he's also got, obviously, just the ability to be roaming, moving information. He is a great semblance of a lot of different aspects of this game that, when they come together, can make or break a good team. So it's also down to how he gets utilized. They obviously still have the Maestro to be able to get those long angles and the cameras to eat up either utility from the Zephyr that's consistently been bought, or just zap people for the sheer joy. And then Revan, which is a pretty good staple, I think, on this.
Oh yeah. So Enviik, once again, clearing top down. This has been a very common thing for them to do so, and Skylight is kind of their main entryway. Lobby sure has been seen by like one guy, but hasn't been the main emphasis on really their attack. Good droning though, so you know, they're not going to give Penta anything at all. They're going to make sure that everybody's in sight and then carry out really their entire game plan. Last time, you know, Clash was in towards those server stairs and did cause issues, and this time it's going to be the Pulse who just sends it right up and catches that Capitao idling, and that's a massive operator to lose very early on without using any of the utility, and we know how strong those firebolts can be on Bank, especially towards that red corridor.
Well, Revan is watching the fireworks above him as they slowly crack open the vault. The drone's coming out from underneath. They're well aware of who is close to what, but yet again, a big take as Ara is the first off the board, losing your Capitao and losing those smoke to both push, shepherd, and hide. Yannick's is creeping around in the archives, waiting and listening and pre-firing against him as he gets him just on the drop. It looks like Maverick panicked a little bit there and got caught out from the spray through the open hole. And that was a great, great piece of movement. And you can see the pings coming up just as they went for the kill as well.
Enviik, tough spot to be in, losing the Maverick, and well, Maverick I wouldn't say would gave that much of an impact. It's just losing the manpower, and whenever Penta constantly have this information being supplied by the Pulse, it's amazing to see the way that they can coordinate each other, and even Blast just walking upstairs, gets that free kill. There's nobody to try and hold them there. Hatches, of course, can be used, but nobody actually from Penta is going near the hatches, but it doesn't matter whenever Blast is just walking through everybody, and just down to Haroldi, and eliminates one, but I think that's the only thing he's going to get, because it seems to be a dead round for him, and yep, there goes the Jaeger, who's also roaming upstairs. Penta, 4-1 Fluke, and this is what we expected.
Yeah, they seem warmed up, I think it's fair to say. Every response, every action and reaction has been much tighter for them as the game is kind of ramped up round per round. And, you know, at this point, Enviik, they're playing at the same caliber they were playing in the first round. It was great for that initial opening when you're kind of responding well to stuff that's going on. But how do you respond to a team that is this kind of confident on this map and in this play space? Going to hit tellers as the next point. Mozzie's still on the board. Alibi is back as well. They're going to see if they can feed and filter some more information. IQ is currently in line as well for JK. See if they can try and shut down some of what has been pretty consistent information game breaking apart the attack of Enviik. But again, it's hard to kind of respond and stop this. I say, Mozzie is swapped out for Castle. Going to try and keep a bit more of a solid control, potentially throw those on the top floor or on the corridor along the back of the point towards the southern side and main stairs. It's down to how aggressive Penta want this.
And they should want it. A team which has been seen as a big disappointment for the European region. You know, think about how well they kind of played last season, you know, where they gave an upset even Team Empire at stage. And then they've just kind of came all downhill from there. You know, they won, well, they didn't win DreamHack Winter, they came second place, they got the spot for it, and went to Invite, didn't go as planned, and then from there, everything came crashing down.
Yeah, it's been a bit of couple. It's been a bit of season, unfortunately, for Penta. They've tried to find themselves in a meta that is always kind of expanding and a kind of it's a region that is always getting tougher and tougher. As we've already said, you can just look at the, look at the tier 2 teams technically, based on definition, and you've got what, BDS and Forza knocking on the doors of these qualifiers. In the same kind of region, in the same kind of league, you've got teams like Secret, you've got teams like Gamewood, you've got teams like Trust and Orgless.
So you've just named like the entire CL region, yeah?
Yeah, I know, and that's how...
You do know there's only 2 spots for CL, yeah?
I know, and it's such a shame because EU is battling and trying to prove that they should make the leagues bigger. JK starting to try and actually use the IQ ability and get some of the information down as they push against this top 4 and at least try and get some semblance of verticality here. But there are 3 Penta bodies currently lined up in the way, and they need to find their way across.
So Tellers once more for Penta. There's the nade being tossed in, so finally Enviik, they have a good idea of where Penta may be positioning themselves, and it's going to be the exact same hold as what they did last time. Revan, already the first blood, that's a quick peek, and that does eliminate the Thermite, so they're really now sanctioned into simply going for the frags. There's no options for actually getting a breach on, of course, whenever you lose your Thermite, and really, you look at Penta, they are just running around with not a care in the world, and nobody from Enviik is making them doubt themselves.
No, and that's it. And, well, Hungry just swung around and sent them to the Shadow Realm. Blast finds another. In the meantime, Heroldi and Ara at least put 2 bodies down, but they are the last 2 bodies left at this point. And with a minute 10 and no intense control of the upstairs and the diffuser cold as well, they've got to try and find a way to get this last man out of Janitors before they can convincingly push down, and the Janitors man is aggressively pushing them. Can't be bothered waiting, and it's just going to charge down a corridor with a shotgun, and they're actually going to rotate away from that, leave the firefight, and maybe try and recuperate on the opposite side. They've picked up the diffuser at this point, and instead they're going to be a little bit more direct towards the point itself, and they're struggling to find a bit of safe ground where the guns of Penta are not already ringing at them.
Bomb located by attackers.
Enviik, now just another slow round, 30 seconds, and everybody from Penta in great positions to try and stop this. Heroldi does drop down and then eliminates the man on sight. So it has opened up things, but straight away, like we talked about, the positions for the refrags was there, and I like the way that Yannick's kind of uses that barricade into the best of his ability, but a 1v1 now for Ara, but has to go for the defuse or go for the kill. Does he know that Hungry is right beside him? I think he has a suspicion, the pre-fire, but Hungry, if the reaction time is there, and Penta. Penta.
5-1. They lost the first, and from then on have refused to lose any more. Kind of giving me a couple of flashbacks to the Liquid games we saw last night, where Liquid kind of went to a 1 scenario and then quickly shifted it to a 7-1. And I guess Penta's currently on that roll. We'll see if Enviik can find a way around as they opt for Teller's Office Archives as their first defensive point. Glaz on the board, and maybe the first time we've seen him picked this entire tournament.
He did get buffed.
Oh, swapped off to Twitch. Maybe trying to be secret about it.
Don't know if anybody's seen that clip, but the fire rate looks...
it's fast.
It's very fast.
Well, we'll see if Blaz can kind of
Oh my god,
that.
he's actually going for it.
Yeah, baits it. Went to the Twitch, one of the other operators that suffered a slight nerf.
Terrified.
In the recent patch, and you can stare into the cold dead eyes of the Russian in the middle of the screen right now of Glaz, and you can expect that soon they're going to be filled with the bodies of Finns.
I like that reference you made about Enviik where they've been sent to the Shadow Realm.
Thank you.
You know, it's like they have assembled all 5 pieces of the puzzle. You know, Penta's deck has no pathetic cards. It does contain the power of glass.
There's a lot of information in terms of Enviik, in terms of like roaming information. So they've obviously got the Valkyries, they've got the Mozzies, they've got themselves in a situation as well where they could use the Legions as like that kind of early warning system that they can occasionally be used for. Do you think they're going to be a bit aggressive about this kind of hold? Do you think they're going to throw themselves into that segue?
A team of their caliber, probably. I could see them jump out and do whatever they can, but then you are staring at a 5-1 deficit. And there has to be a bit of fear in Enviik. There has to be something in the back of their heads that thinks, it's a pro team, we're not a pro team, they're currently winning 5-1, they've been killing us, they've been winning their 1v1s.
nightmares. There's those kind of nightmare fuel games where, you know, you wake up and you're having the nightmare that you're on the main stage and being absolutely messed over by a Pro League team. And, well, Yannick's isn't letting that dream stop.
Just a mad nightmare. You know, nightmares would include such as, like, could you imagine waking up from a nightmare that you're 2-0 up at Invitational Finals and you lose 3-2? Could you imagine? It'd be such a nightmare.
That would be the worst nightmare anyone will ever have. Revan finds Heroldi in the meantime, and, you know, the space is just getting smaller and smaller as they are wasting no time in collapsing from almost every single side. Penta flaunting their reaction times as well as their gun skill as they just quickly dispatch of the far bodies, and there is another one falling to Revan as they drop in across the top and find their way into stock.
Penta going unrivaled so far in this game. Nothing from Enviik apart from that first round really made Penta panic. And now for Penta, they just have to find the remaining 2 players, as of course tellers, and they can honestly they can simply just walk in and just plant the diffuser. There's nobody's going to stop them. There's too many angles being held by so many players of Penta that Enviik can't really have any room to breathe. They look as if they're pushing in towards the lobby, and will try and make their way in, open up the breach, of course. Enemy still alive with the Thermite, and Goomines, though, could try and stop the approach from Penta.
Oh, the wall gets cracked open, and Kuda is trying to watch from a little bit of range on open, and Daisari at least finds one, but there goes Kuda, and it is now just the Legion on point, and now there is nobody on point. The only point we are on is match point, as we find ourselves on 6-1. Penta kind of giving a masterclass right now, and unfortunately Enviik, well, you gotta hope they're learning some lessons from this.
What more can we say? It's just men against boys. For the most part, it's the experienced team against a team who has very little experience, especially in this caliber.
In a weird way, this is kind of what we expected from the first game today.
It was.
But G2 didn't.
But we weren't expecting G2 to play that poorly for their standards.
No, that's fair. That's fair. They were making a couple of mistakes, whereas apart from Penta having a bit of a laugh in the first round with some aggressive styles on those blue stairs, they've otherwise locked this down pretty continually. We saw a little taster of the new glass in and amongst that as well as we opt to go to CEO. I'm curious why they're not going to the basement. Maybe it's because they expect Penta to expect it and want to counter the picks, but when you're up against Penta and they're using these any operators this convincingly, why not play the safe point?
6th pick from the glass on the Sophia. They realize that, oh, look, there's a Maestro. Let's bring the counter to it. And for Enviik, if you're going upstairs, you're just going to have to try and frag your skull out. And they're going to do exactly that by bringing the duck, by bringing the Maestro. 2 great guns, very minimal recoil. Of course, the Aldi would have to favor over the MP5 9 times out of 10. And just Enviik. I don't know, I just don't know what they can do. They just have to play their own game and hope that they can pull off a miracle, but it's just getting darker and darker, and eventually it's going to slip away, and Penta, it'll be light, of course, and shining away everything that Enviik try and put up. So, now for Penta, look at their lineup, fairly standard. I'm curious to see if they're going to go for a lobby side attack, or will it be the more standard skylight. And whenever they are bringing the Maverick and the Thermite, I think that's just to cover their bases in case it is a basement. But still, because they have the Thermite, they're probably going to go and try and push in towards the skylight more than anything. But there is 3 players spawned at lobby side.
Yeah, they've gone with a little bit of width and a little bit of depth with this, and to be fair, we kind of saw this on the previous round as well, where they actually just set up and took the firefights wherever they kind of wanted to. They really went a bit wide with the aggression, and they were able to pinpoint any kind of particular side that they needed to before they started to close down. Hungry, throwing his drones in and trying to get some info on the people hanging around the top of the staircase and on the corners of Banana, but no joy yet as Yannick just creeps in via the ATM doorway and the main door, and you can start to hear the utility being thrown towards the point. Aaron is keeping the long sight along the corridor from the Kanto corner, but Revan is just waiting to catch someone out on the rotate as well. He did previously.
He's actually rappelling down in through main lobby, and that's a very risky one to go for. And if he makes that work, then fair play to him, because that takes some nerves of steel if that is a success. But Penta just playing the rappel and window game. You can see Yannick, he's looking to try and get in there with things, but will meet his end as That's again that Doc, who we kind of expected with the MP5 would make a success. He doesn't even know where he got shot from. I don't think they know that he was rappelling on the skylight, but it doesn't really matter as Enviik, they're finally getting some kills on the board. They're taking this lead, and now for Penta, they have to respond, and Revan will do just that with 1 kill. They still have 4 more to find if they want to close out this map.
Well, Claymore in pocket. Maverick is going to try and ease his way from stock across the rest of this top floor. Obviously has the pressure coming from the opposite sides as well. The wide swing of the castle doubled up by the other man, and Revan is actually just going to rotate and not finish the rest of that fight because he realized if they work together, that could be a quick end for him, whatever happens. Gets spotted on the camera on the rotation and trying to come up from behind the castle, but with the barbed wire, he can't really make this too quick. There is also still the Maestro in the elevator you can see on the corner of your screen, and this will be the drone that should give that information. There he is, spotted. Now they've got to find a way to close down. Flashes the rotation so he can swing round, actually drops and rotates himself. They're trying to lock down the Revan kill, and Ara finds it, and now it's just enemy rotating out of there, and it looks like for the first time Penta have been on the back foot. Great swing there from Maestro to find a frag, and there is another. But it's in the face of the enemy now, and everything is kind of falling apart towards the Penta side, and, well, took 1 cough and then hit the deck as they make it 6-2.
Penta just getting carried away. They all just tried to force their way into lobby for no reason whatsoever, but they just went for it. Surely if you look at the lineup that they had, Skylight was the obvious take. Sure, you can leave 1 guy in lobby to cut off rotations, that's not an issue, but for the most part, Skylight was always going to be your better option. It's not as if we've seen Bandit or Kaid really explode from Enviik so far, and they've been very subtle in the kind of picks that they've made. And, well, talking about the Kaid, here he comes, and that's going to be an open area now for Enviik, so possibly they're beyond for the anything I can do, you can do better.
I mean, yes, it's one of those things where it's a bit peculiar to see, but at the same time it's even more peculiar when Basement is still on board, and especially Intellas is still there as an option too, and you just kind of think, well, why are they avoiding Basement? Maybe they just expect Penta to be solid on it as an attack, and that's a fair fear to have because theoretically it's the one that everyone has had the most practice attacking, but at the same time Penta has pretty much locked down most points so far. In fact, that was the first round out of the entire game where Penta hadn't got the opening frag. Otherwise, it is completely swung into their favor from get-go, even the one that they lost. So it's just, you know, they're comfortable and they're confident on their map pick as well. Now, where else are you going to kind of really go from here? But setting up with the castle, making sure they at least limit some of the immediacy. No clash, as you said. You do actually like to see her on this open area hold. And I mean, technically it worked previously, but it could have just been it was Penta. Otherwise, a lot of the same kind of stuff. Kaid, Valkyrie, they've dropped obviously the Mozzie for the information game and opted for something a little bit, well, less information driven and more solidity, which on this point isn't the worst decision.
So Enviik, how will their kind of setup differ? You know, Penta were very flexible and very fluent in the rotations that they took part in their open area. And how will Penta cope with a bomb site that they're kind of known for? And for Enviik, I could definitely see a hefty amount of aggression, particularly coming out from like the Jaeger and perhaps the guys located in towards like the Teller's Archives. You have rotations available up through Skylight, potentially also in through Banana as well. So there's options for Enviik and how they want to play it out, but I think they're just going to wait and kind of use the early information they can gather from the Valkyrie cameras that is, of course, scattered around the map. And that's the best way to kind of use your Valk cams early on, is so you can actually see where Penta will be setting up for.
Well, creeping slowly and steadily around towards the point. It's just Penta getting all their checks and their balances and weighing everything up before they start to try to collapse. There's the Thatcher that was otherwise missing the previous times we saw this point attacked, trying to catch the Kaid floor if they throw one to trick it, and he would have got it there. And the hatch is being opened as Heroldi suddenly realizes the roof is caving in. Sledge is digging for gold, and that gold is Jaeger's skull. Unfortunately, no bites yet. He's just keeping the drone a bit active and keeping the area hot. Yannick's is creeping down main stairs too, and at the same time, you can see Ara is not too far away towards the lobby and ready to at least, I guess, put up a bit of a firefight if anyone drops down fast, hiding underneath the desk and waiting for anyone as Hungry, still looking for blood.
We'll work in with the sledge, of course, and he can still be useful on this bomb site whenever there is that extension in towards tellers and archives. Sure, it's not the actual bomb site, but whenever there is players to be hunted, he'll go for the hunt. So sledging away. Also nades being tossed in, and now Enviik. A bit of a rough scenario. You can actually see the rotation coming in from Castle, and he could be on for one, but still just holding firm and waiting for Penta to make the mistake more than anything. But he is in a great position to kind of help his teammate and alleviate some of the pressure, but instead has rotated back in towards the archives, and now Revan will start working on a massive quad wall. Of course, with the Maverick can create these silent holes and a punch away. They know one's inside the archives, but no, just barely misses out on that kill. So it will be Haroldi, but there's Yannick's onto one, but then quickly refragged as well. 10 seconds to go. Penta, they need to go fast, they need to go quick, they need to go now, more importantly. And Enviik, too many men up for themselves. Diffuser tries to get planted, but not enough cover, not enough manpower really for the players of Penta. Yeah, another lockout round for Enviik this time.
Operators, you are out of time.
Not really sure what took all of Penta's time there. They were just kind of upstairs making a mess of the floor, sure, but surely you've got to realize with all your kind of history and caliber as a team that you got to make your way towards the point. You can't just leave it that long, because as soon as you do, like, you realize that things are going to go a bit wrong. Lockers, we finally see it from the side of these defenders, and they've taken CEO and they've taken open in pretty fantastic fashion. I guess Penta is still on this match point and needing to lock it out and find a way back into this fight. Now, at this point, surely you go, well, they're definitely going to be down here. They have the Maverick to get control of those hatches. Thermite as well to go for the plant and IQ. Valkyrie is going to be the 6th pick from Kaid. And you know, you kind of look at that and you think, okay, well, they've got the pulse for the information. They've got the Maestro as well. This is a pretty standard lock-off. I guess they're just going to give over the hatches and expect them to be able to be got by the Maverick at that point. Can you make this C4 become more precious than it previously could have been?
So basement, and I feel as if Enviik were putting this bomb site away for a specific reason. Penta are great at their executions. I love watching them, the way that they kind of piece by piece form the puzzle is a great attack, and whenever they have a great setup, I think, you know, whenever Blast can of course come in and start hunting away, playing that main Fragger has been a great, I think, addition to the European scene ever since he kind of got picked up around that kind of Ents period, and we've really seen him shine from there. But equal Yannick's, I kind of think has been great, particularly in defense on the Jaeger, maybe not so much in the attack, but still has his own moments to shine. And as we know, of course, the old veterans, you have Enemy and of course Revan, who have been teaming together for, well, God knows how long at this stage, even dating back all the way to the old Vitality back in, what, 2018, and even, you know, Hungry, who we know is a veteran player with his time throughout the German scene, more importantly, as well.
Well, Spooky Valkyrie is running around and throwing cameras, getting us into the mood of Halloween. Can Enviik create what has been a previous 2 good rounds from them in terms of just keeping a bit of control against a team that has otherwise looked very, very dominant and took, well, 6 rounds in a row, all of them as a continual stream. But now they're pushing against this basement point, trying to clear out any roamers as JK is holding onto the long angle from Garage and waiting for someone to swing around a bit too, well, confidently, I think it's fair to say, and that's what they're trying to exploit in and amongst all of this. Kuda is waiting inside the gold vault as well, trying to feed this information, and obviously, as I said, they have the big use of utilities. They have the C4s to throw in the hands of the Valkyrie, and they've got the smoke charges too. Now it's a matter of getting these hatches open. Revan already inside, trying to crack them, and realize that at this point, all of Enviik are playing on that basement floor. All of them are in a situation where it's just a matter of closing down on them.
And that's what Penta want. Penta want that accessibility to just perform the way they want to. You can see that they're leaving Blast kind of on the flank watch to make sure nobody tries to upset them on the main stairs side of things. And Revan still trying away with that blowtorch. An interesting way of doing so, and makes 3 straight lines, but that will be enough to get rid, of course, of the tire hatch. Now Penta can start moving in, of course, for their classic defuse, and they're going to go very quick, and A gets tossed out to get rid of the Maestro camera. And is anybody on Enviik going to be able to realize this? They have a pulse, they should know he's planting, but the smoke grenades, they get missed. Even the C4, nothing touch Enemy. He's immune, it seems to be, to all utility.
Well, that was one of those nightmarish, I think, 7 seconds as he held onto the ground. The amount of bullets that flew over the head. Heraldian blasts find bodies apiece, one finding the other. And now it's just a matter of a post-plant situation. And you can see Enviik rotating on the far side. Revan finds 2 of them, though, in the background of our screen. Enemy is there to back him up as well. That is the Maverick with full control. There's another body dropped inside point. 4 versus 1 with vertical control. You can only assume that that is the good half in the hands of Penta, bringing it to a 7-3 that I guess it was a very comfortable 7-3, even with some of the sillier mistakes we saw.
Yeah, Penta, again, they took 6 rounds on the bounce. Just took a little bit longer to finally get those last 2 rounds, but Enviik, they put up a good showing. We'll have to see how well they do as we start to move in, of course, to our second map,